thank you guys, for having us up here, and again, for being on a Friday, coming into a subterranean basement in the fall, and listening to us talk about HubSpot. So lots of gratitude and appreciation there, so thank you. Just a quick introduction on who we are. Who knows what HubSpot is or does? Okay, so like a third of you. And how many of you are first years? Raise your hands. How many are second years? Nice. So a good mix. So I graduated from here in 2009. I was a CDS fellow, which was an awesome experience. There's a bunch of Tuck folks at HubSpot now, actually. A couple of 16s and 11 named Allison Elworthy, who's great. So we have pretty good representation down at Tuck, down at HubSpot. I run kind of our voice of the customer program. So all the feedback, all the data we have around who our customers are, the feedback they give us, and how we can better optimize the product, better optimize the experience for them is kind of my charter. So working with the exec team, working with the product team, working across the organization to kind of help drive better decisions that make our customers happier. Data is obviously a huge piece of that. And then I'll kind of let Dan introduce himself as well.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan. I went to a different business school, not as great as Tuck. I joined HubSpot. I started a company in business school, and I sold it to HubSpot in my second semester. It's a nice way to end business school. And then I've been at HubSpot since then. I've run an analytics team on our product team, helping look at how our customers are using our product and how that can fuel improvements to the product and other motions within the company.
Yeah, I forgot to say, I did not leave Tuck and go to HubSpot. I made the brilliant choice of being an investment banker for 3 years first. So there is hope if you go down that path that you can extract yourself from it somewhere down the road. So with no further ado, I loved it. I learned a ton. I wouldn't have the job I have today if I hadn't done that, so to be clear. Who is HubSpot? So I know some of you are familiar. When we kind of say we do sales and marketing software, I'm not sure. I think people can go, oh, I know what sales and marketing is. I know what software is. What that actually is sort of hard to understand. It's not the quickest elevator pitch. So really quickly, we've got about 34,000 paying customers. We are active in 90 countries. We've got 7 office locations worldwide. We're in Cambridge predominantly. We've got a huge Dublin office now. A lot of our product team is starting to get recruited and built in Dublin. We serve the entire EMEA region through Dublin. We have a Singapore office. We have a big and growing Sydney office. So pretty cool. Just opened an office in Germany actually recently as well. And we went public in Q3 of 14, October of 14. I guess that's Q4 technically. And we've kind of been growing since then. So we're going to do like $360 million in revenue this year. We were founded 11 years ago. So it's been a pretty fun, cool story, a lot of growth. With the growth comes a lot of processes that we can optimize, things we can do better. And that's kind of what we're both really focused on, is as we've kind of exploded from a growth perspective, how do we keep the wheels running and continue to get new customers on board, continue to serve those customers and keep them. This is kind of our evolution. We're now in year 12. We started with what we'd kind of call a content marketing platform. So if you think about it, and Dan can probably explain this better than I, but if you wanted people to find you on the web, we helped you with that. So search engine optimization software, so things that help you rank on Google, things that help you understand if the meta tags in your website were findable, some other stuff we had around helping you grade your website, but it was all focused around how do we help our customers get found by their customers. And that's really what the core of the business was. The economics of that business were not awesome. We were getting people in the door, we were selling them, we were having good success with them, but when you kind of look at our CEO calls it the ATM machine. If for every dollar you put into the machine, you would probably get $2 back. For a software as a service business, a SaaS business, you really want to try to get that certainly over 3, and the higher you can go, the better from an economics perspective. So maybe you want to talk about what kind of transformed us through years 4 through 8.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have done this case, but there's a case on HubSpot and talking about this big decision that we made in years 4 through 8. And so we served really tiny companies. We called them ollies. And then we also serve bigger companies. And so the persona at an Ollie was a small business owner doing everything. And there was another persona at a larger company called Marketing Michelle. And there was this big debate within the company, should we serve Ollie or should we serve Mary? And the big decision that was made was, let's serve Mary. And that was the thing that really helped us grow and pave the road towards our IPO. And the things that we did there, we focused on marketing automation. So we moved down the funnel a little bit in terms of not just generating demand for our customers and tools for that, but helping them do marketing automation at a much better extent. And
And what is marketing automation, Dan, for those who would like to know?
So the easiest way to think of it is it's automating flows in your marketing. So if someone comes and fills out information on your site saying, I'm interested in your products, sending them information automatically routing those people to a sales rep if they take certain actions, allowing a marketer to automate some of the key processes within the business and having software do it for you.
Yeah, the simplest thing you guys might run into every day is something like purely getting an email kickback from something you buy. So you buy, I mean, Amazon does this incredibly well these days. You go buy something. 3 weeks later, they send you an email being like, hey, we have specials on all these things. You're like, wow, those are all exactly like the thing I was just looking at or I just bought 3 weeks ago. You know, that's marketing automation to consumers. We really specialize in the B2B world of that. So if you're buying a service, if you're buying consulting or marketing services, if you're buying something that's for your business, not as a consumer, that's kind of our specialty. So we had really a ton of success with that product, the marketing automation product. It was a funnel that we set up that was very linear and made a ton of sense. You would get people to be interested in our content. We would offer all kinds of ebooks and white papers around how to run your marketing business, how to automate processes, how to do all these things. We would generate interest with that, and then we would call them and sell them on our products. And that's what took us public.
And the key thing there, we would sell them, and then they would start to use it after we had sold them on the product. So they didn't use it before they bought it.
Yeah, we sold them on the methodology. We didn't necessarily sell them on the product they were using. What's changed a ton since then is we have decided to not just double down on the marketing automation process, but double down on marketing Mary, the person at the 50-person, 100-person company who needs software to help sell and market to their own clients. And by doing that, we said, you know what, let's make more horizontal software here. So not just the marketing automation stuff, but a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, sales tools. You know, we have tools that Dan actually helped build that basically allow you to connect your Gmail inbox and send an email tomorrow, track your emails, see when they got opened, automate based on those emails you're sending. So if I send a prospect an email today, I can set up a flow that says, if that person hasn't responded by next week, send this next email that I've already personalized and got set up that says, hey, didn't hear from you last week, you know, let's talk again. Click this link to sign up for a meeting with me. And you know, your calendar's integrated with Gmail, so you can pick that up. So we've kind of decided to go horizontal there. I think what that has done is we kind of have 3 products now, what we kind of just described. And what that's done for us as a business is kind of taken that nice linear funnel that made a lot of sense and blew it to smithereens. We now have, you know, salespeople, customer success people, certainly the marketing folks we were talking about. They're all interested in our product for different reasons, and they all have different entry points and different ways they get value from it. And what has made, you know, data incredibly important is we now need to not just say, how do we move people down this one linear funnel? We've got this crazy funnel. We don't know where people are coming from. We don't know who signed up. How do we know who signed up for this product yesterday? Are they a salesperson? Are they a marketer? Are they a customer success person? What are they trying to get out of our product? And how can we best nurture them, have the right salespeople call them, and turn those into revenue generating deals? This is kind of what our pricing looks like today. You know, the stuff on the left is our marketing product. That's kind of the average contract value for a year, and you can kind of get cross-sold on that to our sales product. And our sales product is based on number of seats you buy with us, so if 10 salespeople are on it, $500 a month. You can upgrade on seats, and we can cross-sell you the marketing product. So we want to get into your organization somewhere, and then we want to sell the other products we've got to it. That's another data problem. How do you know who's using it? How do you know who the right customers are that are going to be receptive to, the next product you want to sell? And so with that, thought it made sense to just show you a little bit about what that funnel actually looks like today. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. PQLs are product qualified leads. MQLs are marketing qualified leads. MQLs are kind of what we always built our business on. It's folks that, hey, if you downloaded a white paper from us about how you should maybe think about automating your marketing, like that generates some intent of, hey, these people might actually be interested in buying the product we're selling you. And we would typically nurture those folks. Now we've got this free product. Our CRM, our customer relationship management product is 100% free. The whole point of that being free is you start using it, we start figuring out who's using it, and we try to sell you the products we do sell, because it's not, as much as we'd love to give all of our customers free products, like it's not a lasting business proposition. And then kind of, how do you surface the right direct sales rep or the right partner sales rep to talk to the people who trying to show this intent? And then once they do show that intent, how do you nurture them? How do you close them? And then how do you upsell them later to the next product we think is going to be valuable for them? That's the problem that we're kind of constantly trying to solve with data every single day. So that's a long kind of preamble and context for what our funnel looks like today. We kind of had the marketing funnel, we had the sales funnel on the right. In the middle is really where we are today. Get people in with content with our free product, start to see who's getting value from it, who might turn into a lead that we might actually want to engage with. We can't go talk to everyone who started using our software yesterday. Most of them aren't great customers or aren't going to be great customers, and we just don't have enough people to actually make those calls. So how do you surface the right people? And then once you get them to be customers, how do you kind of expand the pie of their wallet share with you? How do you say, hey, you're getting value out of this product over here. How are we going to sell you the other stuff we think is going to be valuable to your organization? That's all a data problem for us. We can't go talk to everybody. We don't have enough people to do that. That's not going to make that ATM machine of putting $1 in and getting $4 or $5 out a reality, because you can't go talk to 90,000 people every month who are starting to use your software. So anything you wanted to add on any of that? Or
No, I think it's good. I think we can talk about the other stuff there.
Nice. So what we wanted to do in sort of the meat of this a little bit was just talk. Does anyone have any questions? Let me take a step back for a second. Does this help you understand what HubSpot does at all? Yeah? Cool. So we sell sales and marketing software. Now you sort of maybe know what that is, or certainly how we're trying to get the people who buy it kind of into our circle and sell them. Now we can talk a little bit about kind of the thing we're talking about up here at Tuck these days around using data to automate some of these processes. How do you make that funnel more efficient? That's what it's all about for us. Our business model is purely recurring. So if you sell a person and they use your product for a month and then they decide to stop paying you, like that was a waste of time. How do you keep people in your product? And the way we do that, and it's not going to get super technical. I'm going to try to keep it pretty high level. We have a data warehouse that is a Redshift database that we have used a product called Looker for, which basically takes all these different sources of data. So we've got, how many events fire every day in our product?
We have like 1 billion a month.
Right, 1 billion a month. So what people are doing, we track every little thing they do in our product. Did they send an email today? Did they log in? Did they set up a meeting? Did they publish a blog post? All that stuff, all the content interaction. We know everyone who visited our site, what little things they might have downloaded, what pages they visit. Did they visit our pricing page? That's a pretty good intent page, is when you visit someone's pricing page. You go, oh, that's someone we might want to reach out to. We have health scores. All of our customers, we use algorithms around the things they're doing. How much have they engaged with the product? How many cases have they opened with our support team? We have just pure demographic customer data. How big is the company? Are they 10 people? Are they 5 people? Are they 1,000 people? We have user feedback. That's one of the places I focus a lot of my time on. We ask every single month. Has anyone ever heard of the Net Promoter Score methodology, NPS? So we're pretty big believers of that at HubSpot. We run that every single month, and we're always generating feedback and segmenting that feedback into what our customers who are actually using our product out in the world talking to us about every day, and how are we acting on that. It's one thing for someone to say, hey, we wish your product were easier to use. It's another thing to say, what segments of people say our product needs to be easier to use, and do we care about those people?
Now, do you also help companies use NPS?
We do, actually, yeah. It's funny when it's like very meta, right? If you're a sales and marketing software company, you end up like not only having software you're trying to sell and use yourself to sell, you're also helping your customers use the exact same software methodology to do the same thing themselves. So they see us using NPS and they go, how are you doing that? Or like, we want to use this, how can we use that with your tools? And yeah, you totally can. And we'll probably be leaning into that a little bit more in the future, frankly. Contact enrichment. We have, I don't want to call it like web scraping or anything like that, but we have all kinds of really, really intelligent ways to use APIs to say, if we know a couple of unique IDs around who you are as a customer, we can know a lot about you. And we populate our own prospect database with that stuff all day long to kind of help generate scores on, hey, who might be worth talking to? Like, if they fit this, and that profile, and we can find that out without having to ever ask them, we're going to have so much more context for that conversation with them when the conversation does have. And actually, we have other data sources too. These are the ones I thought were worth putting into. But this Looker database we have is huge, and we've enabled the entire business to kind of get access to it, do the ad hoc analysis they want to do. As the title says, we collect a ton of data. And again, our jobs are really to figure out what to do with that data. And I think that's what we want to talk about. A couple examples here where we think we've started to help and kind of corral some of this to drive some insights, drive some action, drive some optimization. One is joining data sets around, I know what our customers are telling us from a feedback perspective, and this is my own example here, and then Dan has a couple more thoughtful and better ones. We basically took every piece of feedback we got from our customers, and we joined all that data with what all those people did in our product. What part of the product did they use? How often did they use it? What percentile did they rank in terms of how often they use the product or not? And you can kind of run, Dan's team is full of like awesome data analysts who can help me generate like really important charts like this, which is on two completely abstract axes. Like, I can't tell you what dimension 1 and dimension 2 are. I just know that when you plot all that data and you get these 6 colorful segments, we actually were able to drive a ton of insight into the people who use our product and frankly tie that all to the feedback they gave us. And I can tell you, for these 6 clusters of folks who use HubSpot, I know what the pain point is of what we ended up calling these low usage users. As you can see, you can just see that very easily. These folks use our product across the board. These people typically use what we call the marketing product. These people typically use the sales product. These people don't use a ton at all, and we know a lot about them. We know the feedback they gave us through the NPS feedback, and we know the things they talk about that are distinct and different from what everyone else says. And one of the big things we're going to be trying to do is make this a happier group, make them use the product more, and lean into the feedback they're giving us, which is distinct and different from what these other groups are giving us, to drive action. So, it's really getting insights into your users so that you can understand and serve the ones that you care about the most, or you think you have the most leverage with, to make better decisions.
So I was an engineer and a product manager on our product team for a while before I started managing this analytics team. And one of the challenges we give to our PMs is make our customers happier. And it's a really nebulous concept. And so we use NPS, we get all this feedback, but oftentimes the feedback is going to be, I'm confused about how to use your product. And so it's really hard sometimes to take some generic feedback like that and distill it down into, I'm going to build these features, or I'm going to reduce the friction from going from A to B. And giving PMs segments of people like this and saying, this is how they're using the product. PM X that has a lot of users in this cohort or in this grouping using your product or having confusion, it's a lot easier to say, I want to move the needle for this group of people using my product, rather than just being given a mission to make people happier. And so I think a lot of times people in all these functional departments are given these broad missions, but they sometimes either don't have the data or don't have the analytical skills to break it down into smaller problems so they can go after it. And so I think that's where we try and lead the way at HubSpot, is using our usage data like this to break down abstract problems into very concrete things that teams can go after.
And we sit next to each other, so we share a lot of this stuff all the time, which is where a lot of it ends up being a super useful collaboration to take, really intense like product usage data with like, I'm not happy with what you're doing today, and like merging that and being able to derive insights. So it's great. And then I think I left you the thing because there's a couple of examples Dan has as well.
Cool. So we have a huge services department, and they're responsible for our support group and also for account management. And so for a software as a service company, retention is the name of the game. We want people to stick around as long as possible. The longer they stay, the more profit we're going to make. I forget what the latest numbers are, but at least as of a couple of years ago, it took us about $10,000 to $15,000 to acquire a new customer, and they were worth about $50,000 to $60,000 to us over the lifetime of, like that average lifetime value. But the payback period took something like almost 2 years, like 1.5 to 2 years. So if the longer we get people to stick around, we're going to decrease the payback period of that initial investment. We're going to increase their lifetime value to us. So one of the things that our services team needs to do is, as the number of customers scale, they don't want to have to scale their department linearly with the number of customers we have. So the question is, how can we prioritize the work of the very smart people on that team so they engage with the customers who are potentially not as happy or who aren't using the product as much? Our product especially is the kind of thing that's kind of like a gym membership. You got to use it to really see the value. You're not getting value for just paying for a gym membership and not using it. And so a lot of times our account managers need to engage and talk to customers about what their marketing strategies are, how they're using our features, and give them ideas and potential methodologies. So this chart is different types of alerts that are automatically generated based off of key things that we've noticed our customers doing. So this one is the primary point of contact on the account has become inactive, the user has been removed, or another one is just product disengagement. So we look to see what typical customers look like, and we look to see that their usage is declining over time. And so we can look at the volume of these things, and we look at, I took this slide from one of our monthly management decks to point out how we're trending over time in terms of like what the biggest drivers are of how we're prioritizing talking to customers. I blurred out the numbers so that the numbers don't matter, but it's a really interesting exercise to say, how are we doing? Are we talking to the right people? And what's going on with our install base?
Yeah, I think scale is such an important thing here as we grow. I mean, we're 11 years in. We've been growing at sort of 40 to 50% a year for forever now. We can't scale everything with humans. I think when you're a smaller company, you can fix a lot of things by throwing humans at the problem. What this is kind of all demonstrating is how are we starting to say, let's find the intent behind it all and actually surface the right time to engage a human, right? Because we have awesome people on our teams, and it's like, those can be super productive conversations, but if you're just having that conversation every day with people who are already going to renew with you, they're already totally happy, like that's a beneficial thing to do, but the better use of your time sometimes might be, let's talk to the folks who we actually have seen might be showing some indication that they're not using the product, or the person who bought the product just left. That's a huge driver for us. If you bought our product 2 years ago and you're moving on to bigger and better things with some other company, and you left HubSpot with whoever was left at that company to say, I didn't really learn how to use this. I don't really remember how that all happened. Like, that's a very important piece of intent that we want to act on every single time. And that's the kind of stuff we're automating and bringing up so that we're not making our account managers spend hours a day looking up, wait, who's changed, or what, did that person leave, or did this woman over here leave? Like, that's just coming to them and they're saying, oh, here are the 4 accounts I've got that I need to talk to because the guy or gal I'd sold this to is gone. So
cool. Another one. So this is a screenshot of Looker. And if you haven't used Looker, think of it like a web version of pivot tables in Excel, where you can add filters and pivot on different things. And so what I did here is I've sorted our, companies that are paying for our marketing product, but are and I say where their beginning of the month MRR, so they're paying us money, is greater than 0. So they're paying us something for our marketing product. And you can see that that's what this column is. And so you can see someone's paying us $3,600 a month. It's like $30,000 a year. But they're not paying us for any of our sales tools. And that's what the second filter is. I want to see who's paying us nothing for our sales products. And then what it is, I sorted it by the engagement in our CRM tool. So this is an example of we sell them on our marketing product, and we've launched the CRM maybe after they had been sold, or they only were interested. The marketing department wanted to buy HubSpot, and their sales department said, "Okay, we're going to reevaluate a CRM and a sales tool." They can start to adopt our free tools, and over time we can have conversations with them to say, if you're happy with HubSpot and you're interested in combining everything under one platform, you can also buy our sales products. And so this type of analysis shows us who is already paying us for the marketing product, who's not paying for our sales tools, and I want to rank it by how engaged they are in our free CRM. So here you can see I'm sorting it by the number of days that the company used it in August. And so this company used it literally every single day of the month, and they had 165 people doing stuff in their CRM. And so when you're talking about prioritizing the companies that your sales reps want to engage with, if I was a sales rep, I would much rather sell sales tools for $50 a seat to a company that has 165 people in their CRM versus a company that has 2 people in the CRM.
And is already using it every single day.
And is already using it, right? It's a very different conversation when they're already using the tool and you need to sell them on how they can adopt it in their organization versus explaining what a CRM is or even how our CRM works. Fundamentally different conversations. And so our sales force is like a couple hundred people. And so we just talked about how we can impact the prioritization and the work that our services organization does. This is an example of how we can help sales reps be much more productive, ultimately hit their quota, and help fuel the growth of the company. This other one I was looking at is this is the close rate of free portals for a particular segment of our install base by how many days they used it in various months. So the series are different months. So the blue is January, the green is June. And based on how many days of the month that these companies were using our product for, what is the likelihood that they became a paying customer at some point after that? And so it's kind of an obvious thing. As people use the product more in the month, they're more likely to want to pay for some version of our products. And so again, this is another example of why this is the right kind of filter and right kind of lens to look at it, because we can show that these people are much more likely to close in being customers. Do you want to have 100 conversations and close 2? Or do you want to have a smaller number but close a lot more in terms of the much more engaged customers? So those are just a couple of examples of services and sales. But a lot of the work that my group also does is help the product team understand how people are using the features within the tool, so we can improve upon those features.
Yeah.
You are just doing it by month, so I'm just curious, is there any seasonal changes in terms of the...
There isn't that much seasonality to our cycle. We have an annual conference every year, but it's not like we're not like Amazon where a ton of stuff is bought around the holidays.
But what you might want to know about this chart is it was done at a point in time, so call it like August 31st. As you'll see, we've converted more people at this point from January than we have from June because they've been in the product longer. So
right.
The cohorts kind of move up as time expands in terms of when you're taking that snapshot. So
yeah, if you were to look at this on a cohort heat map, you'd see that over time the cohorts, the upgrade rate increases, where this is, like Matt said, it's just a point in time.
Sure.
We got another question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how you empower your sales force with this information. Are they going into Looker themselves, or are you providing them a list of key companies to contact?
This is a key battle that we're having right now, which is it's really hard to be a sales rep today, especially at a company like HubSpot where we have the number of products we have is exploding. The amount of information we have is exploding, so it's really hard for them to prioritize what they're going to do. And so right now, the main way that people do things is they have a view in Salesforce. We use Salesforce internally for our CRM. But people aren't sure exactly what the right view is to look at, and people have different methodologies. And so one of the things that I'm trying to advocate for is prioritizing leads via some mechanism, and then using the same methodology that they've used forever, but at least doing some prioritization up front. And generally, we want our sales reps to be either in email or in their CRM, not in a tool like Looker, because Looker is not built for salespeople.
Yeah, no generalizing there, but it's true. So Looker you can create dashboards with. That's the kind of thing a salesperson might consume, is like, hey, someone else who is really focused on using Looker, and we have a whole team internally called our business enablement team. Their customers are not our customers, their customers are our organizations. So the sales team, the marketing team, those guys would build a dashboard that a sales rep could log into in the morning, and all the work would have been done for him or her already, where it's, okay, here are the 10 leads I should prioritize today because they're in my territory, they use a CRM, all these different indicators that they should be like top priority leads. That could be a way they would use Looker, but we don't want them digging in through there and having to figure that out themselves.
You want your sales reps talking to people, not doing any
running
sort of
pivot
analysis.
tables in like a super powered Excel.
Do you think that your sales reps are, just to follow up on that, do you think that they are kind of, because you're a SaaS company, a relatively new SaaS company, do you feel like they're ahead of the curve in terms of using this type of analytics to inform their decisions?
Yes. In all likelihood. I mean, depends on the cohort you're comparing it to like 99% of businesses, yeah. Like if you compare yourself to some smaller set of like B2B SaaS companies created in the last 10 years, we're still probably in the top quartile.
Do you build predictive models in terms of like using past data and understanding that you have a customer in that company's behavior is similar to this cohort and they are more likely to rate this, and that way you could recommend to yourself, at least like if you like the options for upsell?
Yeah, we haven't done a whole lot of that yet with pricing specifically, like if they're paying us this and this, but we are doing it a lot more with some of the user feedback I've talked about. Like if they say these things and their usage falls into this group, we can kind of predict where their happiness might be, and that leads to retention. We've also, the health score stuff that we talked about, that Dan was talking about with our services team, that's all predictive algorithms to say, if these 6 different data sources are telling us this, that's going to create essentially like a red light, a yellow light, or a green light on that account, which helps inform us, okay, these are the ones we should be taking action on, or these are the ones we shouldn't be. Which leads to things like upsell and stuff too, but we haven't specifically used that for modeling yet, to my knowledge.
Yep. The name of the game so far has been retention. That's been the main focus of the company for a long time. And we haven't had that many products that we could upsell. For a long time, the marketing product was the only product we sold, and it was like a all-you-can-eat buffet. So there really wasn't that much of an opportunity to upsell people. And now that we have more product lines and we have the ability to price based on seat, I expect us to get into that, but we're still at the early stages of that.
There's a question behind as well.
So I have a question, but first I want to make a comment. So I was actually a partner sales rep at HubSpot.
Yes.
And I would actually recommend, I would have found that information very helpful. Our dashboards and views are typically very clunky and difficult to use, and it's usually more about your experience with different prospects that leads you to prioritize your own needs.
Yep.
And so I think, I would think maybe consider putting together a beta group of sales reps and testing whether the information is helpful rather than just assuming they can consume the information.
For sure. We are changing systems on them like crazy. That's like what 2017 is all about with HubSpot sales reps, is like, hey, get used to a whole new way of doing things. So yeah, I think that's the ultimate outcome. Just deal with the cruft in the meantime.
I think the interesting thing is we basically had an explosion of data available to people, and so now it's less of a question of can they handle information. It's there's so much data being thrown at people. How can we give better guidance about which ones are more valuable, and then do the analysis? It's just it is, as you know, it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, like we don't even really use that much data again because like a lot of it's on intuition. Anyway, so my question was my other question was like I noticed in the last graph, you have the different customer segments. So some like used all the products very little, others were heavy CRM users, others were heavy marketing users. And if you look at the sample size numbers in the bottom there, your cross-platform users are actually only 8% of the sample.
Yep.
Why do you guys think that number, and that's the lowest of the different segments, why do you guys think that number is so low? Because I know it's a huge priority right now for HubSpot to, just like you said, build horizontal platforms.
So this is where users versus customers becomes a huge conversation. I think one of the key points of this whole chart is to help everyone at HubSpot understand selling to a customer who uses all the products is much different than a user at that customer using all the products. The point being, there are not a ton of people, so these people typically are at pretty small companies where they're running the sales and the marketing organization themselves, right? As soon as you get to a larger company, which is, we are more focused on the kind of 50 to 200 size company than the 5 to 25. You start having a specialization in roles. So someone who's using our sales tools, just by their very nature, and you see plenty of bleeding into both sides here, they're not going to use our marketing tool. They're not going to be doing SEO optimization or any of the other kind of keyword tools or any of that stuff. They're probably not going to be publishing blog posts. So I think those are great users for us because they're good evangelists and they're people who might grow into deeper customers with us. But yeah, you're right. Like 90% of the people that we talk to are specializing in one place of the product. And that's really important for everyone to understand at the company because, just by getting a customer in the door, there's a huge other organization at that company that you're going to have to figure out how to get value from, if that makes any sense. So we love those customers. We don't want to shy away from them, but we have to understand that people aren't going to be using the entire breadth of our product. So when we onboard people, when we help tell them about new features, when we talk about UI and UX consistency of the software itself, like those are all really important decisions you're going to make, and only by knowing this stuff are you going to have make better decisions around that. Like we're not trying to build a huge piece of software that one person is going to use the entirety of because that's just not what our users do. So that's what this is really kind of about. You.
So what's your view on that strategy compared to perhaps Salesforce App Exchange, in which you have third-party developers just adding features, and then the user can decide what they have for their own needs? Yeah,
sure. I mean, we can start talking value prop and all that. So our focus, and this is something we just believe as a company, is on the SMBs, small, like really 10 to 200 size companies. And we think there's a ton of value there for folks who don't want to be taking multiple tools, even if it's built on Force.com or Salesforce's APIs or any of that. The concept of those customers stitching different tools together and trying to have one common source of data still scares them a ton. And so what our value is really about being all-in-one tool that multiple places in the organization can use it, and it's one shared, consistent set of tools that everyone can derive value from the same database. So, Salesforce certainly, and beyond that, we do have open APIs that we have our marketing agencies and developers building whatever they want on. So we don't want to discourage that. It's just that, our focus is on getting one suite of tools that everyone at the company can use. And not have to learn different things or plug different things in here or there. So
the one thing I'll add to that is we're definitely making a shift from being like a company that just sells a marketing product to being a platform company. So we have marketing and sales. I'm sure in the future we're going to have more. And so we're really leaning hard into our platform strategy. So that means, so we have this program called the Connect program, where we have a ton of integrations with other companies where we're not going to build every single feature as part of the all-in-one platform. And so there are going to be areas where we want to compete with the best of breed solution. We're going to get 80% of the way there, and we don't care about the last 20%. But there are also going to be places where we want to integrate with another vendor, like a SurveyMonkey or an Eventbrite, and we want to make it really easy for our customers to leverage those things. So we're definitely leaning hard into that strategy as well. It's not like we're like trying to build everything ourselves.
And to that point, do you see yourself in the future perhaps pursuing ERP as well?
Sorry.
ERP as well? Do you see yourself?
I mean, ERP to me sometimes feels like a vertical CRM. So in some ways, it's just a system of record for the things that the customers you sell to. So in some ways, we are acting as an ERP to companies that are using our full suite of software. We have, you can build an integration with NetSuite if you want to, and then, we have all those APIs to do any of that, and people do that all the time, especially the larger customers who might have the internal resource or might engage with a third-party developer to kind of build that integration. Yeah.
I think that's representative of the shift. So going back to the slides from way before, when we moved into the sales area, instead of going up market, we really wanted to go horizontal. And so the vision is, can we be increasingly serve more of the departments within a company? And so we're not there yet, but I think we have ambitions to serve small, medium-sized businesses in many ways outside of marketing and sales. Yeah.
So what data are you looking at specifically to inform those decisions as far as what complementary products? Are you going to, what specific companies you're targeting? I don't know if you're breaking down the 50 to 200 into more specific categories, or can you talk through that a little bit?
So one of the, so our annual conference is coming up in is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
We always have new stuff to announce, and we're going to be announcing some really cool new stuff there. And so one of the things that we do is we look at firmographics for our existing install base to say what percentage of our install base could use something that we'd like to build. Does it make sense? And how does that inform the product strategy and roadmap? If our bread and butter is internet companies and B2B companies, there's a decision made of, do we build something in e-commerce? Do we build something for a specific set of customers that may not be in our install base that we want to go after, or maybe we just want to serve the existing customers that we have. So we use all sorts of data about how people use our products, and also firmographic information to understand, does this support our strategy, or does it represent a shift in our strategy?
And a lot of it's strategy driven. You're going to have to make a choice somewhere, so that's what we count on our CEO to make sure that we're, going down the path that he envisions. So, yes.
I'm coming from the Eloqua team, and I think.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
That's okay. Oracle, you should say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was maybe 6 to 9 months ago that Gartner was talking a lot about how you guys have been big on being able to do predictive modeling for lead scores. Can you talk a little bit about how you innovate around how customers can use their own data within the existing tools?
Yeah, totally. We sit right next to Kevin Walsh, so
yeah.
the PM on who's kind of building the insights team. You might be able to be more equipped to answer this if you want, but yeah, go for it. I'll add.
So we, the way I believe that works is we've looked across all of our customers and all the attributes of their contacts in their system, and we have built models that will predict who is likely to be a customer. And so what we're able to do is, if you were to start a new company today and you were to load in your customer list, we would learn from that, all the attributes, all their behavior and their activity, and then we can use machine learning to say, for any new contact that comes in, let's score that from 0 to 100. Right now, that's a very enterprise feature. I think most of our customers don't need to score their leads to prioritize them. They just need more leads. That's and especially at the SMB space. That's the big thing. But the big push there is, I mean, we want to serve lots of different types of companies with lots of different types of challenges, and I think that there's a lot of applications of that kind of technology in the sales space. It could be marketing, could be sales. You could route things intelligently to different sales reps, different territories, all sorts of interesting stuff based off of the demographic or the firmographic information for those contacts and companies.
Yeah, and there's kind of two levels I think we've got today. One is just we kind of have a general score we can ascribe. But if you buy our enterprise feature, you can start to, you dictate what the different levers are that you want to ingest so that, you can use that algorithm to spit out a score that's more relevant to you in your business or your industry. So. And
the thing that hopefully happens as we get bigger is that the way the software works, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this, is that without exposing anyone's customer information, we're able to leverage our entire customer base's information to build these models. And so as we get more customers, everyone benefits as they're using these predictive lead scoring features, because with more data, you're going to get better results. And this is part of the dream of machine learning, right? Is that when a new customer comes on, that helps all of your existing customers do a much better job in terms of prioritizing and having better information.
Any other questions? I think we had technically one slide left, but.
Actually, I think I have one other example that I talk about for improving the product. So we use cohort analysis. We'll look at how people are using our products. One thing that someone on my team did just the other day was, so we have this marketing automation feature, which allows you to say, when someone does a certain criteria, do something to that contact in your system. That could be send them an email. It could be route them to a sales rep. It could be setting an attribute of that person or that company. So that's the core marketing automation feature. And we have this visual editor to be able to build these complicated flows and systems. And one of the things that someone on my team did was they looked at how many workflows people have on average, and he also looked at how many steps these workflows have. And so we have this visual editor that allows you to have branching logic, very complicated things. And it turns out most of our workflows only have a couple of steps in them. And so knowing how people are using it, what the usage data looks like, helps inform, should we continue to invest in making the visual editor really fantastic when a very small percentage of our customers actually build out super complicated workflows? That's the kind of information from the product standpoint that helps us understand where do we put our limited resources in terms of engineering time and product management to build a better product and make our customers happier. Because it might be building a better version of the workflows tool, or it may be solving a flow in the product that is unearthed via something like our NPS feedback.
And that's where the strategy really is dictated by our vision a little bit. When it comes to Eloqua, it's like that workflow tool is directly competitive with, Eloqua's got this crazy workflow tool that is like totally enterprise based. You can simplify it, but the way the user persona typically works is there's someone at that company that has bought Eloqua that literally will be a big part of their job, will be understanding how these workflows work. If this person did this and responded to this email and did all these 10 different things, send them this other email that we know is exactly personalized to that, and you can get crazy with it. And we could easily just be spending a ton of calories building a crazy workflow tool. 25-person businesses don't need that. And that's where we start to, you don't just need to know that anecdotally, we know that all with data. So, yeah, this just kind of summarizes a little bit. How do we use data to kind of automate and humanize sales? I think that's the biggest thing from our perspective is we're not just trying to automate everything, we're trying to surface the humans at the right time. We can't scale with our customer base from a pure human perspective, but we want to have the right conversations with the right people at the right time and have that still be a very human experience. People don't want to just buy B2B software. They don't want to buy our software without ever talking to anybody. They want to talk to someone. They want to understand that the software I'm about to buy is really going to truly fit my business. I'm going to have the right people there to help me. And as much as you might think that the world's just purely if I'm a consumer and I want to go get Netflix, I'm going to go get it. And I can learn all about what I need to know about and all that. That's still not how business software is bought. It's still not going to be how business software is bought for a long time. Probably maybe ever. So our whole goal is, how do we qualify the right people? How do we target them? How do we nurture them so that when we can be human, we are human, because that's where we differentiate a lot in the first place. So hopefully that was helpful and helped give you guys a little bit of context into how we use data and who we are, because it's not the easiest thing to understand who we are when you just say, well, we do sales and marketing software. People are like, my mom has no idea what I do. And we've had plenty of conversations about it. So, any other questions? Yeah, thanks.